Hi, BC family. Welcome to your midweek devotion. This week, I wanted to talk to you guys about having a different spirit. And I'm going to start off by reading in Numbers 13, verses 25 through 29. So it says, "And they returned from scouting out the land after 40 days. They came to Moses and Aaron and to all the Israelite congregation in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh, and brought them word and showed them the land's fruit. They told Moses, 'We came to the land to which you sent us. Surely it flows with milk and honey. This is its fruit. But the people who dwell there are strong, and the cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, there we saw the sons of Anak, of great stature and courage. Amalek dwells in the land of the south. The Hittite, the Jebusite, and the Amorites dwell in the hill country, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea, along by the river of the Jordan.'" So at this point in our story, we have our scouts that went out, they went out the land and they came back and they're telling Moses the facts, right? They're saying, okay, this is our reality. This is what we're up against. This is what we're facing. This is what we see in the natural. And sometimes in this life, we're given the facts. You know, we have facts that we face in this life. Maybe it's a sickness. Maybe it's, I have cancer. My marriage has ended. I've lost my job. I'm in a lot of debt. My children have walked away from God. We have facts that are present to us in this world. Every one of us has those facts. And that's what they were portraying to Moses. They were giving him the facts of, okay, this is our reality. But verse 30 is probably one of my favorite moments in this story. So verse 30 says, "Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, 'Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to conquer it.'" So a few things stick out to me in this part. First thing that Caleb did was that when he was given the facts, he silenced the fear. That's very key right there. He quieted the people. He silenced the fear that was beginning to come, that was beginning to stir by the facts. When given the facts in this world, sometimes you initially feel that fear. You feel the anxiety. It comes, but we have to silence that fear. And that's immediately what Caleb did, right? He silenced the fear. Then you have to remember what God said is fact. That's step 2, right? Caleb remembered. Caleb had a strong fellowship with God. And in Numbers 13, 1 through 2, so same chapter, you just back up to the beginning, it says, "And the Lord said to Moses, 'Send men to explore and scout out the land of Canaan, which I give to the Israelites. From each tribe of their fathers you shall send a man, everyone a leader or head among them.'" See, God had already given them this land. And Caleb remembered that. He remembered this land was already theirs. So yes, he saw the facts, but he silenced the fear and remembered what God said his reality was. And he knew that with God, all things were possible. And he focused on God's reality. And he said, oh no, we're well able to conquer it. So if you just camp on that one small passage, you can get so much out of this. Facts are there, right? Facts are in our faces, but we silence our fear. We go back to the word and we say, okay, God, what do you say about the situation? On Sunday, we sang the song Better Word. I love that. We have a fact that we're facing, but we stop. We breathe in the glory of God. We silence our fear and we say, okay, God, you have a better word. Caleb and Joshua focused on the better word. They were like, okay. Now in verse 31, it says, but I love how it jumps out with that. So Caleb just delivered, he silenced the fear, he reminded them of what God promised, and this is what they come back with. But his fellow scouts said, "We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we are." So they brought the Israelites an evil report of the land which they had scouted out, saying, "The land through which we went to spy it out is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. There we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who come from the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight." Okay, so here's another nugget. So Caleb silenced the fear and remembered God's promise and spoke faith in the midst of the facts. The other scouts started off by saying, but, so they were giving into their fear. They were focusing on the facts. And it starts off with the facts, right? They're saying, nope, we're not stronger. That's a fact. but then they continue to spiral into their fear, and now they're having new fears that's not even a fact, right? The land devours its inhabitants. We are grasshoppers in their sight. Really? Did they ask them? I don't think so. Did they see any of this unfold? No, but they're letting their fear and their anxiety and stress take over. And now they're worrying and fearing about something that isn't even a part of the facts anymore, right? How many times do we lie awake at night, tossing and turning and stressing out about things that are not even facts in our lives? They're just the what ifs. Well, if this happens, what happens if this happens? If this happens, what will I do? In that moment, what if this happens? What if we don't have this? What if this is the report? And we're now focused on things that aren't even facts. And we're spiraling into the what ifs, right? It's in these moments that if we don't silence the fear, then we're just going to continue to spiral out, right? That's in those moments when you need to say, okay, no, we need to recall a better word, because otherwise you're believing the evil report. So now I want you to look really quick at why Caleb and Joshua were so quick to stand strong in their faith. Why were they the only two who were 100% believed that God could bring them into the promised land? So much so that when the Israelites were spiraling out of fear, they said in Numbers 14, they were like, let's stone Joshua and Caleb. Like, they were so freaked out that Joshua and Caleb were on God's side that they were like, let's stone them. Let's just kill these guys, right? So I want to continue talking about Joshua and Caleb. These men are examples to us. So when we're digging deeper into who they are, it helps us in our spiritual walk. So Exodus 33, 7 through 11 tells us a little bit more about Joshua. So I just want to read that really quick. So that's in Exodus 33. And everyone who sought the Lord went out to the tent of meeting, which was outside the camp. So this tent of meeting is a tent that Moses pitched, and it's the only place you could go to actually be in God's presence and speak with God. So when Moses went out to the tent of meeting, all the people rose and stood, every man at his tent, and looked after Moses until he had gone in. And when Moses entered the tent, the pillar of cloud would descend and stand at the door of the tent, and the Lord would talk with Moses. Then I'm going to skip down to verse 11. And the Lord spoke to Moses face to face, as a man speaks to his friend. Moses returned to the camp, but his minister, Joshua, son of Nun, a young man, did not depart from the tent. So I love that, because that tent of meeting, that's the secret place. That's the presence of God. And even when Moses left, Joshua was like, no, I want to stay in your presence. I want to follow you. I want to seek you. And in Numbers 14, 22 through 24, we see a little bit more about Caleb. Because all those men who have seen my glory in my miraculous signs, which I performed in Egypt and in the wilderness, yet have tested and proved me these 10 times and have not heeded my voice, surely they will not see the land which I swore to give to their fathers. But my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and has followed me fully, I will bring him into the land which he went, and his descendants shall possess it. So Caleb had a different spirit. Now here's an interesting fact. I believe Joseph Prince said this one time. He said in Hebrew, different spirit means following spirit. And I love that. So Caleb had a following spirit, and he followed him fully, right? He was all in. He fully followed God, not just on Sundays, not just when things were going awesome, not when he was in dire need. At all times, in every circumstances, Caleb was following God. And that just reminds us of sheep. Sheep follow their shepherd, right? And the Bible says time and time again how he is our shepherd and we are his sheep. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. When you are following him, you're not going to want, and Caleb and Joshua understood this. Now it's interesting that different spirit it means following spirit, because Jesus talked about following him over and over and over in the Bible. He said, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. Pick up your cross and follow me. He told the rich young ruler, sell all you have and follow me. He told the fishermen who were fishing, follow me. I'm going to show you where there's fish. If you just start looking at the Bible and seeing those words, he mentions follow me over and over and over again, because that's the different spirit. That's the spirit you want to have. Numbers 32, 11 through 12 says, surely none of the men who came up from Egypt from 20 years old and upward shall see the land which I swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, because they have not wholly followed me, except Caleb, son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, and Joshua, son of Nun, for they have wholly followed the Lord. So fully that even though they wandered the desert for 40 years, they never complained. They never lost faith because they were connected to God. They were following him so fully, all in, that their mind and their spirit, they were in Canaan land already. Their body was wandering this earth, right? Stuck in a desert. That was their fact. But they kept themselves mentally and emotionally in Canaan land with God. That's an example right there. How can you count something all joy? How can you walk through a hard season? Because when you are following him fully, you are connected with God, walking with him, fellowshipping with him daily, then your mind is on his promises and what he has for us. And you're not overcome by the facts that are in front of you. It's that learning how to walk through this earth, but keeping our spirit connected to him and led by him. So I have this last thing I just wanted to share. It's John 21:20. Then Peter, turning around, saw the disciple whom Jesus loved following. That's John. But I want you to hear that. He saw the disciple whom Jesus loved following. He was following Jesus. And in verse 21, when Peter saw him, he said, Jesus, Lord, what about this man? And in verse 22, Jesus said to him, if I want him to stay till I come, what is that to you? You follow me. See, John knew so well how much God loved him that he was just naturally following him at all times. But Peter, he could get out of that secret place and into his head and into the facts. And Jesus had to remind him, no, you follow me. Don't worry about any of this. You follow me. So this week, when you're hitting obstacles, you're being challenged, when facts arise and you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed, stop and take a moment to realize, oh, I've stepped out of following him, right? You've lost your focus. That's when you say, okay, I'm not going to worry about this person or this situation or what the facts are. I'm going to put on that different spirit, the spirit that Caleb and Joshua had. And I'm going to turn my eyes to him and I'm going to fully follow him. I'm going to put on that different spirit. Joshua 14:14, last verse. Hebron, therefore, became the inheritance of Caleb. Hebron is one of the 4 holy cities. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and their wives are all buried in the cave of patriarchs there. David was anointed king there. It is an amazing place, and that was his inheritance. And it says, Hebron therefore became the inheritance of Caleb to this day. Why? Because he wholly followed the Lord God of Israel. When you fully follow him, he will bring you all that you need and more this week. So remember to have that different spirit, to follow him and focus on him this week. Have a great week. Bye.